So Russia has just shown that they need to be considered a great power, not only because I think they're going to wipe out all of the polar cities, but they also, at the very end of that last episode, had 2 settlers going for the New World, which is crazy because they're even showing that they're going to be a colonial powerhouse.
Well, maybe not a colonial powerhouse. I mean, they're only sending 2 settlers over, and we actually don't know for sure where they're going. I imagine North America, but we'll see. And here are the 2 settlers moving through Korean and Mongolian territory, which means that they're on the good side of both these civs. Also, a spy just showed me that Catherine is now secretly plotting against Genghis Khan. So the world's really getting small. Anyways, let's go ahead and go to the next turn, see if Catherine's going to be able to get the job done and completely destroy Poland here. I'm sure Rome is not very happy that they couldn't squeeze in a few extra hits to take over Warsaw. That could have really benefited them, the Roman Empire, that is. But Rome is now still preoccupied with a Mongolian war as well as a war with Mali. Mali is trying their best to grab a hold of Carthage, but that's not really happening. I think that, and we just discussed the role that Portugal will play in the remaining part of this campaign. I don't think they're going to be able to pull something like what Russia pulled. But I think that they will have a story. Either they'll attack Rome, I think is very likely, or maybe France at the very least. But man, this is, again, a very, very interesting campaign for Russia. They've really, if they were more entertaining in the middle of this campaign, I would just think that purely for entertainment value, we should give the win to Russia. But that stagnation by civs, really ends up bothering, I know me and a lot of people. Poland and Russia stayed stagnant. It's fun, and I'm glad that they're now making some progress, but it took them a long time. It was like they were entertaining in the beginning of this series, and then they just stopped, and now they're entertaining again. But for like thousands of years, they just didn't do anything. So anyways, Russia will take this over. They did lose a unit in the process, but that's okay. They haven't lost as big of a military. Now, my big fear is that Mongolia will attack from the east and absolutely just wipe out everything that Russia has made their progress towards. I don't think it's going to happen anymore. Persia and Assyria are still going at it, and it's been very interesting just because this part of the world is just so messy. There's so many wars have been going on in the Middle East, and they have really, no one's really dominated one side or the other. Okay, and I will just commit my delegates. So this World's Fair is a lot more interesting than previously, because now we have major powers, major players in this world when this World's Fair gets enacted, which will probably be next turn because everyone always votes for the World's Fair for some reason. Let's watch as Russia takes over this final city, and there will really be no more wars for us to watch, no more major wars. That will be the final major war. We've been pretty lucky in the last 3 videos, having some pretty big wars. Hey, they didn't take it over, did they? They did not, which means they're going to lose another unit in the process, which isn't too good, but they'll take it over next time. And Rome has kept most of their units off of the coast off of Berlin. Makes me think that maybe Rome is thinking something here. Well, I mean, luckily Rome and Mongolia will not work together because they are at war together. But if Rome and Mongolia both declared war, I mean, it's hard not to root for Russia just because they have been this underdog. They've come out of nowhere constantly. There's this point where we thought they were going to get destroyed. They have really been an interesting series. They've done something that we've never really seen before in an AI-only battle. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Pretty massive missionary fleets that the Champa have. The Assyrians and the Champa have peaced out. Let's see where those Russian settlers are at. Here they are, moving through Korean territory. Now Korea's got to do something. Mongolia's been somewhat entertaining, but that's by default. They pieced out for Indian colonies, and that's the only reason why they got cities out this way. Rome has been fantastic. Rome has been absolutely fantastic in this campaign. Constantly involved in world affairs. Constantly at war, constantly defending themselves or going after civs. They've been very, very fun to watch. So I guess if I'm going after entertainment value, Rome wins at the moment. But then again, Ethiopia is good too. World's Fair passed, and of course, yes, the embargo of England has passed. So I don't think I will vote for... here's the international games, but I'm going to give it some time before we vote for that. Let's just embargo the city-states. Yeah, I don't want to do it one after the other, because now we're doing 10 turns every single time. So we'll have to see who wins that. I don't know if the production is really going to transfer over this fast to Catherine, because remember, most of these cities are still in resistance, and they're going to be in resistance for a long time. So just because, I mean, Russia should have taken these cities over a little bit faster if they wanted to utilize the production of the World's Fair. Well, actually, you know, if they remained puppets, they wouldn't have been able to utilize that anyways. Okay, so Russia should take this over. Multiple, yep, bam, and Poland is gone. Another civ eliminated from the campaign. So we've got some very interesting borders now with Russia, Austria. Russia now bordering in Europe. They border Austria, which they did before, but Austria is much more powerful, and they kind of surround the Russian Empire almost to the south. Then we have the new Roman front with the Russians, and then obviously Sweden is a big one too. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia wants this city at some point. They've got their kind of options open. They could still go after Tibet. Russia could still attack the Middle East, which I feel like they are most likely to do out of everyone. Ethiopia's finished the Manhattan Project, so they're the second civ to do it. We also need to keep in mind nuclear capabilities from civs coming up. Obviously, Ethiopia just built the Manhattan Project, so there's still going to be some time before they build the atomic bombs. Indonesia has announced Babylon. Now, as we get closer and closer to the end of this campaign, you got to realize that it's better actually for some of these smaller civs, someone like Japan, France, Mali, the Boer, because eventually civs are going to start to stop teching up, and we're getting very close to that point. I know that the Philippines are, so I know the Philippines and Indonesia, who I know that they're pretty far out ahead in technology, they're going to eventually stop, and Korea and the Boer, going after Greece, stop teching up because, you know, there's just nowhere left nothing else to research. That's going to really allow these, you know, everyone else to catch up to the Philippines. But second, it's going to let the other civs that are still behind, like the medium tier civs, like India, like I said, Persia and Assyria, to catch up. And they might pose a bigger threat to some of the great powers as soon as you remove the technology aspect of it. So for the great powers, they've got to go to war now. And the great powers are now Ethiopia, Rome, Russia, Mongolia, Korea. And I don't know if I want to count Portugal, but yeah. I mean, Portugal's kind of becoming that middle tier because they just haven't done anything. Ooh, revolution. Oh my goodness, no freaking way. The irony in that, I guess the coincidence in Russia forced to adopt order. Oh my gosh. Wow, and it's order too. That is very strange, right after they just destroyed Poland. Well, that doesn't mean, I don't think the destruction of Poland is very part of that scenario at all, but they, you know, it's part of this scenario, but historically, I don't think, you know, the Soviet Union didn't pop up after that. I don't think Poland's, how involved, oh man, I might sound dumb for this, but what was Poland's role in World War I? I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that. But anyways, yeah, so Russia has just adopted order, essentially becoming the Soviet Union almost. That's pretty interesting. Now I really hope that I wish they would just, boom, we'd just see the Soviet Union. Anyways, so Russia is strong. They have really solidified their power after eating a great power like Poland, too. I mean, these cities are pretty big, especially Warsaw. 12 population. And the thing is, though, will we see another isolated Catherine? If Catherine stays isolated once again, then that will ultimately be her demise. Yes, she's made some progress, and yes, she's done good, but she has got to continue to colonize if she does colonize. She's got 3 settlers. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. Yeah, so she's got 3. Okay, so if she's going to play the colonial game, then she's got to continue to do the colonial game. She can't stop. If she's going to play the war game, she needs to continue to play the war game. The thing is, though, it's easier said than done, and I realize that because Russia is in such a tough spot. She borders so many tough civs, but so does Rome. And we haven't seen Rome slow down. Rome borders people like Portugal and Ethiopia. I mean, Ethiopia, I still think Ethiopia is the most powerful. That's just my opinion. And maybe that's not the right opinion anymore. We'll probably check out the info addicts in the next video. But I still have Ethiopia currently the most powerful civ in the world. But I don't think they're going to win. Now, why is that? Because they don't have the navy to win. They don't have the colonies to win. I think whoever wins is going to have a lot of colonies, which right now we have Rome and Mongolia. We're seeing that, and eventually we're going to see Russia get involved in that game too. I think if you want to win the game, And let's not forget about Australia. I mean, Mongolia's they dominated Australia, so that's part of the other reason why they're a colonial powerhouse. If you want to win the game, you got to have colonies. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that that's going to be a part of the rules to determine a winner. I'm just saying that that's just overall where a lot of power can come from. It's just cities raw in the new world, new resources, everything, new strategic resources, all of that. So that's why I think Ethiopia currently is the most powerful civ, but I don't think they're going to win. Unless they show me that they can unless they completely destroy Mali, which is possible, or I don't think even destroying the Boer will be enough. Even if they do have to go, actually the Boer would be a tougher war for them than someone like Mali. Mali just got finished with a war against Rome, and they seem to be a lot weaker than before. Ooh, we got a Roman fleet actually going after some Mali ships. We might even see an attack. Could Rome land in Africa? Now that would be kind of crazy. Ah, okay, there we go. The Zulu finally settled the city. That seemed like that settler had been out there forever. Turn 445. Hopefully we make it to about turn 450. Genghis Khan plotting against Austria. We've got Rome plotting against Catherine. That would explain why Berlin has so many units here, next to Warsaw. Makes me think that maybe there will be a war soon, upcoming, between these two nations. But right now, I think Rome's preoccupied. They are still at war with Mongolia. They are still at war with Mali. I don't think they'd want to get themselves involved into another war. And I wonder how many units they've lost in the process because, like I said, I still really, really think that Portugal poses a major story still left in them. They still have they have some action still left in them. That's the way I see these campaigns. There's storylines. That's exactly the way I see them. There's storylines in wars and colonization. And I think there's still a storyline left that Maria's going to show us. And like I said, I think personally it's going to be with Rome. But Rome's going to have to lose a lot more units in the process. Or if they don't, then Portugal maybe will attack England or France, which will be less entertaining, but it's still something. They'll probably gain some extra land last second, but and maybe maybe not look as isolated as we see them now, but it won't ultimately give them the win, I don't think. So, like I said, we might see the Romans begin to attack the coastal cities of Mali. That would explain why Mali's kind of retreated here. But with the Romans taking over cities, coastal cities that Mali controls, that's also opening up for an attack that the Ethiopians can do in the east. I mean, that's where Ethiopia really needs to expand towards. Ethiopia needs to take over Mali. With taking over Mali, especially these two coastal cities, that's where things are going to get interesting. Where Mali I think Ethiopia does pose a possible winning position, a victory, because they could colonize there. Like I said, there's always going to be land out there. There's always going to be land. This world will not fill out by the end of the campaign. I could go to turn 600. It will not be filled out. I promise. It will be nice and it'll be interesting borders by the end of it, but it will not be filled. Okay, so we've got Russia almost embarked. This settler is kind of lagging behind. Babylon and Persia. Assyria lost their capital. Whoa, we were totally not we were totally not paying attention at all to that. Aha, they were smart. They had multiple artillery attacks hiding in their own cities and just beyond their own cities. Very, very smart. So we did see somewhat of a nation blob out in the Middle East, and it is Persia. And I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Persia just pieced out Babylon. I was going to say, man, you could have probably taken over Babylon right afterwards, but maybe later. Still don't have any coastal cities. Remember, the problem for Persia right now is that they only have one annexed city, and that's their capital. It's not that good anyways. We might see maybe Austria and Persia go at it. I just love that we finally have like a power in the Middle East. I've always wanted this. That's one thing we haven't seen very much of in the Middle East in these campaigns is just one great power. And Persia's getting there. I mean, they only had 4 cities, but still, it's nice to see somebody control the region. And we might even see them get Babylon at some point. Obviously, whenever Ethiopia wants to step in and end that whole empire, they probably could. They could probably end the entire Persian Empire. So yes, it does look like Rome is going to try to make a small approach for that Mali coastal city. There were some other interesting developments. What was happening? There was this other old war that was starting to... Oh, no, I was thinking of something else. I was thinking Mali, Rome, here in Carthage. because I initially thought of that war as mainly a naval war, but I didn't realize it was for the North African colony that Rome controlled. That's why Mali declared the war, not for any sort of naval purposes. So because no one has declared war on Russia, it does seem like they are going to survive. Embargo Indonesia, and embargo the city-states. Yes, it would have been the first few turns if someone was going to declare war on Russia, but I think by now Russia has kind of rebuilt. Look at Tibet; they've got a lot of units here too. Russia's kind of rebuilt and replaced their units. Persia now going after India, and so are the Champa. All right, so this is the second time we're seeing these two nations work together after India. And this would be a big city for someone to take. A very big city for someone to take. It will not be easy, but I do think that the Champa are somewhat underrated. They border a lot of very powerful nations with the Philippines and Indonesia, so they had to have a big military just to kind of stop anybody else from attacking them. Which was smart. The Champa have survived in that way, which is a very smart move on their part. I feel like some of the settlers are faster than the others, but maybe just the terrain gets rougher, and that's why. And someone's gotten out of the train, the other ones have not. I don't know. Babylon's now Sweden. I wonder if anyone else is going to join that war against India. I do think India, this is their only city, right? This is only Delhi. I always forget that Tibet has 3 cities. And I always forget that the Zulu have to have 3 cities. So they're going to have to find the right placement here. Persia just had an army that took over the Assyrian capital. They've got a lot of artillery units, which is good to defend with, and I think it's good to attack with, but I guess it's somewhat good to defend with. And all these hills are going to make it very hard for the Indians to try anything offensive here. So that's something kind of to take note of. And we'll see how much the Champa use their army. But I'm going to stop it a little bit early, guys, here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys. Just wanted to see if Tibet was going to declare war. Nope. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.